What does it actually mean to be self-confident? Confidence means to trust. So to be self-confident is to trust yourself. But to be able to trust yourself, you have to first know who you really are. But who are you? A cluster of cells full of water with a name made up by another cluster of cells? Many people have no idea who they are. And if you don't know who you really are, then logically you can never become a self-confident person because you don't know who to trust. Many people think that in order to be self-confident, they need to have a paper with a title, social status, or a fit body, and material things like cars, houses, or amazing partners, and other things to feel worthy and important. But how do you think they would feel without it? Fulfilled? Or like an insignificant person? This means that people who need things to get attention and appreciation from others in order to feel that they are someone don't actually have any self-confidence because they don't know who they are. That's why they need to prove something and get attention from other people. When we look on Instagram and other social media, we can notice just that. A lot of people play kind of theater and put on a mask to create an ideal image of themselves so that others can admire them and give them likes. They think that if they were themselves and show their true face, they would not get the appreciation they need from others to feel in, at least for a moment, the feeling of emptiness of not knowing who they are. So if we took away attention and material things from these people, they would be lost without them. That means then that a self-confident person can only be that person who knows who they are. So, how do we find out who we are? First, we must turn our attention from the outside to the inside and become self-aware. That means that we become aware of how we feel and to what thoughts we pay our attention to. And if we are good enough observer, we will also notice that the thoughts we have are related to how we feel. When we feel good, we have mostly favorable thoughts, and when we feel bad, we have mostly unfavorable thoughts. So, if we are a good observer, we will notice that we are not the creators of the thoughts we have. Who are we then?
Who are you?
You.
No, not me, you.
Yes, I am you.
Are you deaf?
No, you is blind.
I'm not blind, you blind.
That is what I just said.
Shut up! You!
Yes?
Not you, him! What's your name?
Me.
Yes, you!
I am me. He's me. And I'm you.
Who are we then? All we know is that based on how we feel, we get thoughts and then we make decisions based on how we feel and what thoughts we have. Then these decisions bring us experience that evokes in us the same feeling and thoughts based on which we made those decisions. So in this case, our personality, that what we feel ourselves to be, is the result of our experience. But our experience is the result of how we feel and think. So Being a self-confident person means that I'm fully aware that how I feel determines my basic point from which my whole life is created. Because how I feel affects what thoughts I get, and when I pay attention to these thoughts, I start to feel more and more according to these thoughts. Then I decide accordingly what to do, and I even notice that other people's behavior towards me was always a response to what thoughts I paid attention to and how I felt. And the result of their behavior was the same feeling I felt before. So this feeling, how I perceive myself, determines who I am, but that would mean that if I don't define myself with any feeling, I'm nobody. If I don't add anything to I am, I just am. I'm just an observer, an awareness of being, and what I pay attention to, that I become. So that means that I myself choose who I want to be and not my experience. I just have to choose it consciously. This means that if I don't want something, I don't have to fight it. All I have to do is not pay attention to it. So a person who realizes that if their feeling is based on material objects and what others think or do, then they are a victim of the environment. So in the moment a person becomes aware of that, accepts that, and begins to look for ways to become the master of their feeling, so that their feeling would come from within and not just a reaction to the environment, then that's a self-confident person. A person who knows they are the creator of their own life and doesn't blame anyone else for anything. A person who doesn't hand over responsibility for their life to others. A person who is not manipulated by fear and unfavorable thoughts. A person who doesn't pay attention to disease and doubts because they already know that what they don't pay attention to will not materialize in their life. Therefore, they don't take the materialized thoughts of others in the form of facts for their own, because they already know that what we consider to be true was once just a thought that someone paid attention to. And that's why they only pay attention to the thoughts and things in life that they want to experience, and don't fight with anyone or anything. That's a self-confident person. Are you a self-confident person? Then give me a likey, share the video and stay tuned